Oh, well, let's get into the predictions for the AFL Grand Final.
Oh, yes. Now, I want to quickly bring up, I did say that this matchup in the very first week of finals has a lot of modern history to it.
Yes.
This has been going back since 2022, potentially even earlier, but 2022 is the earliest I can remember because Brisbane got pumped by Geelong at the MCG, and Geelong went on to win that grand final. 2023, I think Geelong had lost to Brisbane, or Brisbane, at the very least, made the grand final that year. Obviously, they lost to Collingwood.
2023, Geelong did not make finals.
That's right. I keep forgetting that. 2024, these guys did both all right. Of course, Brisbane ended up winning it all. Prelim, Brisbane took it. They met each other in the qualifying final. Yes. Geelong took it comfortably. It's been going back and forth. They've both been in their highs and lows. And who would have thought Brisbane, after finishing sixth last year in a bit of a surprise premiership, are looking to go back-to-back next week. We're going back-to-back Brisbane Lions potentially. And I'm just really excited for this. I think both teams are going to bring it. I'm really, really excited. It's not a grand final where one of the teams have questions. You know, their form has been... If Collingwood had made it, I would have been like, I'm really worried this gets to a blowout. Really? Because Collingwood's form has been really shaky at times.
Okay.
Obviously, they were really good to start the year, and if we got that really good Collingwood again, that'd be fantastic. But they also had their really shaky games. And you're thinking, if they come out with that type of game, the grand final's going to suck. Both of these teams have had really good form as of late. And I think it could be an absolute, just a thrilling ride from start to finish. And I'm really hopeful that's the case. I would love another close grand final like we had in 2023. And I think this is the perfect matchup for it. I 100%. Really do.
Yep.
I think out of the last four teams, this is my most preferred matchup. And I am really excited to see what type of Geelong and what type of Lions we see, both having to shift a little bit around.
So, should we get straight into it?
Let's get
straight into a preview. Let's start with the Cats defense versus the Lions forward line, because there's obviously not going to be Tom Stewart. There's going to be a few selection calls actually this week, which is going to be very interesting. No Tom Stewart, I feel like means they're much more inclined to play Reece Stanley, and that allows Sam de Koning to play more back and Mark Blitzeyes potentially to play more back as well. And I think that's a pretty obvious forced selection call because Brisbane also don't have a genuine ruckman. They got Darcy Fort and McInerney has to play more forward now. So I think that allows Sam de Koning to play defensively on McInerney. I think that means Jack Henry goes to Logan Morris again, and that means Connor Sullivan goes to Ty Gallop. And then you've got the interesting calls of Zach Guthrie on probably Charlie Cameron. He's done a good job on him before, where obviously he was really quiet in that qualifying final. And that leaves Kai Lohmann. Who goes to Kai Lohmann? Because he's good in the air, he's good at ground. Hasn't been his best year, though. I think it could be a very interesting call because it might be a Lawson Humphreys.
I was going to say, because you're looking at the fringes, I don't think Jack Martin's the guy for him. Martin is not a lot less of a...
He plays everywhere.
He's kind of a wandering linking backman.
Yeah.
He could be the sub too, that too. Lawson Humphreys, I'm thinking, what's Sean Manor usually playing?
Sean Manor's half forward.
Yeah, because I was going to think maybe he's half back, but half forward seems more his role. I just know he's played a bit of back in his past.
Because then you've also got Mark O'Connor on Cam Rayner, which is the matchup last week, which I think size-wise is the clear option to go with him.
Yeah. Well, if we can literally look back a couple of weeks to when they last played and see who played on who.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Of course, this is what worked for Geelong. We're going to have different teams. I believe Lachie Neale was playing in this one too.
Yep, he was.
So,
well, there's also a chance he does come back again this week, which does change some things as well. There's issues around Jared Berry and whether he plays as well with his shoulder. It looked pretty bad. That was obviously the issue with the Dacos tackle.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he gets up. And there's a few selection calls that are really interesting. So you look at the midfield, though. You got Smith, Holmes, Atkins, and Jed Bowes plays in there. And then you got Danger, obviously, who wants to play in there at times. Versus potentially Neale, but we're not going to bank on it.
No.
And then you got McCluggage, Ashcroft, Dunkley, Rayner goes in there, Bailey goes in there. And that's pretty much
I've even
it.
seen Fletcher get in there a little bit.
Occasionally. Probably will eventually become a midfielder, you'd assume. Lever Ashcroft also plays in there a fair bit.
Yeah.
I think the edge slightly goes to Geelong, given what we saw with Paddy Dangerfield. However, there's also the chance Lockie Neal's come back, and that swings it back in Brisbane's favour, in my opinion.
I'm just looking at this back line, honestly, because I think that's Geelong's biggest worry. I think Brisbane know, despite some inaccuracies during the season, they know how to put points on the board.
Yeah.
And so if they've even got a little bit of a problem in the back line, it's going to be a worry. So obviously no Tom Stewart. I'm seeing from their last time they had Stewart in there.
Yeah.
Humphreys off the halfback with Blitzarves there too. Mark O'Connor, Jack Henry, and Zach Guthrie. So there's two players potentially compromised there with Jack Henry as well. Sam De Koning was a ruckman at this point. So Sam De Koning would presumably go the halfback with Reece Stanley coming in.
Stanley comes in, that's the switch.
Connor O'Sullivan off the interchange, Jack Bowes, Jack Martin, Orson Mullen.
And that's the other one. Does Mullen go to Kokich again?
Yeah, it's that, but it's also, then like you said, the Lohman problem. I feel like Lohman, he's done it before. He's shown out in a grand final. Obviously, they're not going to do it every grand final, but who could they possibly put on Lohman?
And then, this is the interesting thing, it all leads to who goes on Jeremy Cameron. Because you look at the game last time, there was no matchup for him. He had 6 shots on goal, could have easily kicked 5. Very easily, because Leicester, who's been very good on him beforehand, that was the worst performance I've seen from him ever. And then they had to put Gardner to him, and whilst Gardner's okay physically, doesn't do much around the ground, and that was obviously where Jezza was able to get over him. Does Harris Andrews go on him, or does Shannon Neal be the matchup for Harris Andrews? Because Harris Andrews is a gun. He is a seriously
so
good player.
Yeah.
So,
I'm trying to think, because I always love the second option. I think the second option, when you have to think so hard about who you play, the second option always explodes. The most prime example this year has been Aaron Norton's resurgence with Sam Darcy exploding to the degree he has. So I'm thinking Shannon Neal could have a massive game here. Jeremy Cameron, of course, we know the threat that he always is. He's not going to kick 100, which sucks unless he has that good of a game.
He's not kicking 12 goals, unfortunately. He's not.
That would be insane if it happens, though. It is such a great matchup. It's so hard to predict.
And with Chris Scott and his ability to just change things on a whim and in game especially, and then Chris Fagan, his faith in their system to just be able to get over the top of any team they play.
Stengel also found some form in their game against Hawthorn. So it's like, oh my God, if
Brandon
he pops
Starcevic,
up again.
though, he's a gun.
Yeah, Starcevic is really, really good, but it's like my biggest worry is that Geelong backline, because it's noticeably compromised.
Yeah.
So with as much pressure and as much ball use as they can get into the forward line, I'm just thinking, how is that backline going to hold up? But Chris Scott always has a way.
He always has something. There's always something with him. And when you look at the way they played last time, Geelong was so switched on with how they were looking at Brisbane's ball movement, where you could see it in the first quarter. The second they went inboard, Myers, you're onto that. Stengel, you're onto that. And they were able to turn it over and get a goal out of it. And you can just see that if that happens again, Brisbane could very well be shot. But Brisbane are taking such risky kicks, and they're being so dangerous with their ball movement that if it works, you're just like, Geelong's backline won't be able to stand up to this.
There's no one's backline can stand up to when Brisbane's risky kicks work off, because they do it in a way that purposely advantages them if it pays off in a big way. As you'd hope any kind of risk would go, but sometimes players will make dumb risks. Lions very rarely ever do that. Again, the only times we've seen it as of recent, Zorko's couple of kicks that have been a bit ill-informed. You know, he thinks he can get one a bit further than he'd like to, or get an extra angle that just isn't there. So there's potential for it to go wrong, but both sides are so battle-tested, are so, they've gone through all of their game plan with a fine-tooth comb. There's no Cinderella story here. Both these teams had this in mind at the start of this season, 100%. So I don't know how I'm going to predict this.
Where do you see the game won and lost?
Brisbane's forward and Geelong's backline. Has to be.
So
For me, it has to be.
So
I
are
think
they able to...
both sides will get opportunities. I think
Yeah.
both sides have such great midfields that they'll both get opportunities going inside. It's just up, and I think the game could easily be won on the other end of the ground. I think 100% that game the game could be decided there. But the most questions for me come with, does Geelong's backline hold up with the
Tom Stewart,
with this kind of beatings that they've gotten over the week?
Okay.
Do they hold up? And they've got the tools to do it, but they've got to put it into practice. So we'll see how it goes. Again, like I said, could easily be Geelong's forward line is just so good that no matter what Brisbane does, they can't stop it, as it seemed to happen the last time around.
The way I see it is, if we can see, because obviously if you're banking on winning the exact same way 2 times within 4 weeks, I think that's a bit unrealistic. And given Chris Scott's history, I don't think he's going to be that ignorant with how Brisbane are going to set up. I think there's going to be something different in this game, whether it's Hugh McCluggage off half-back or something like that, or even on the wing, whatever it is, where it could be Rain as a full-time midfielder. Who knows, because it's going to be such an exciting game and both teams have versatility. I think it's won and lost between Dangerfield and Rayner. Because you look at those two, what Rayner did in that second half, that brute force, that unrelenting tackle, breaking pressure, and the fact that no one really can go with him physically. Obviously, Mark Connor can go with him around the ground, but physically he's not a great matchup. And then what we saw Danger do against Hawthorn, where he just crashed packs and he just wouldn't allow Hawthorn to win the ball back. I think whoever has a better game between those two, I think, is the winner of the game.
Well, they're game changers for a reason.
Yeah,
We've known them for a long time as those players who can break open a game. They've done it on multiple occasions. Mm-hmm. It's just about who you're putting your marbles in. And I think we've done all the discussion we need. Who have you got winning the AFL Grand Final?
Brisbane. I think it's so tough for a team to win a qualifying final and then to play them again and win again. I think, especially without their key pillar down back, I don't think Dangerfield's going to have that same game because it's going to have a toll on his body. I think it all just leads to... I've been so strong on Brisbane as well. And given they've got a chance, I've got to go with my tip that I've had all year, and that is Brisbane winning again.
Yeah, I've had it from day one.
I have, yeah.
I've had Brisbane as minor premiers since day one. They were my number one pick. They didn't get it, obviously, but... they're here at the grand final on a chance to become the premiers again. But I didn't say they were going to be premiers. In fact, I had Cats above them. No, I didn't have them. I had them in the right position in my ladder position. So I've been right about Geelong every time. And I'm going to stick with them again. I think Chris Scott has what it takes to make the changes that just completely bamboozle that forward line. Oh, sorry, that forward line for Brisbane. I think they do have the talent, but you're relying on Logan Morris, who sure has so much experience and so much done already in his short-term career, but they've also got to rely on Ty Gallop.
Yeah.
They've got to rely on a Charlie Cameron, who is very on and off, more off than on. You'd hope he goes ballistic for this game if you're a Brisbane fan, but he's not always capable of doing so. I think a lot of their damage is going to have to come from the midfield. And when Geelong are so ready, available and set up to stop your midfield dominance and have proven to do so before, I think they can do it again. Not by as much. Again, I think this is going to be really close. I think pressure of the day, both sides are very much capable of elevating their game to the occasion, and it's why I love this matchup so much. I think the Cats are going to take it by 10. I think the Cats are going to take it in a really close one, and you're going to see struggles on both sides. I think there's going to be moments where the Cats look really vulnerable, look like the game's about to break away from them, and then that game change happens. Like you said, the types of Paddy Dangerfield, those game breakers, Ollie Dempsey, when he gets his opportunities, could easily smash in a couple of goals to pick the momentum back in their favour. I just think that there's too much experience, too many great players on this team, and too many opportunities, too many options for this Geelong team not to use them. And while it could easily go Brisbane's way, I think I trust Chris Scott that much to make the right decision despite the scenario. I really do.
I absolutely agree with pretty much everything you said, because we've seen it and they're proven. But I just think the Lions, there's something about them, even though they lost
I get
to
it.
them
The vibe
earlier.
pick. The vibe pick. Yeah.
It's not a
even
vibe
I was
pick.
gonna say it's not even a
It's
vibe
not.
pick, but I get what you're saying.
It's such, to me, this is the most 50-50 grand final I've ever seen.
It's so close, and I'm really happy it's the case. Again, like I said, if this was Collingwood Geelong, I'd be like, oh, for God's sake. Other than the fact it's two big Victorian sides, and oh God, just it's something like new as well.
Yeah.
Have we ever seen this before? I don't think so.
Not that I know of, no.
No, that didn't happen in their old dynasty. It didn't happen when the Cats were 07, 09, 11.
No.
So this is the first time we've seen Brisbane Geelong, which I'm very happy about. Could have been cool to see Hawks make it, but yeah, I'm happy that it's Cats Brisbane. Yeah, I think it could have gone either way, and this is the best result we
I
got.
think I'm on Lions by 17.
Yeah,
I think I am. That leads us though to our bold predictions. We either have the choice of going 2 bold predictions and our Norm Smith prediction, or our Norm Smith and 3 bold predictions. It is up to you. What do you want to choose?
So either 3 bold predictions and a Norm Smith?
Or Norm Smith is one of the bold predictions.
Norm Smith is one of the bold predictions because I think, you got 48 people to go through. Yep. That's a bold prediction no matter what, I reckon.
I agree. So, who is your Norm Smith medal for the 2025 AFL Grand Final?
It's got to be Hugh McCluggage. For me, it's Hugh. It's got to be Hugh.
Even in a losing Grand Final.
Yeah, I think it genuinely could be. I think genuinely, especially if he gets moved around to that, especially off halfback, If Geelong are making those moves, Hugh McCluggage could very easily rack up a big disposal margin. Obviously, it's dependent on like how effective he is, whether he's getting the ball. I think the fact that it's going to be close will help him out a lot. Even if Geelong does take it, which I predict will happen, Hugh McCluggage has an elevated role, finds himself in a lot of scenarios where he could be moved to a more ball handling and on-ball effective position. And who knows, could even get himself on the scoreboard. But I think Hugh McCluggage, the only way he gets it is if it's close. If it's not close, it'll go to someone who dominates on Geelong's side or kicks a lot of goals.
Who is?
Jeremy Cameron.
Okay. So you've gone McCluggage or Cameron?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I'll go Jeremy Cameron.
Okay. I'm going Harris Andrews. Brian Lake-esque of the Hawthorn.
Yes, that's a great shout.
That is my guess. I just think he has been phenomenal. We saw how good he was in that first week, and I think if Brisbane are able to get up, which I've tipped them to do, he is going to be the force that just doesn't allow Geelong to penetrate that back line, and he's going to be a brick wall. So, to me, everything leads towards him having one of the best key back final series I've ever seen, because he has stood up in every single final. Phenomenal player.
Yeah.
Best fullback I've seen.
I do not disagree with you. I really do think it could be possible, especially, again, that comes with if it's really close.
Yeah.
If it's a blowout, it's always going to go to a high possession getter or a high goal scorer.
Half forward, yeah.
It's never going to go to a backman if it's a big one because, people will be like, oh, they didn't need to defend that much. If it's close and Harris Andrews steps up in those big ways, that's when he's going to get recognised. So I think for both of us, the tips that we've gone with help our cases a little bit.
Yeah.
My first bold prediction for the grand final is both teams are going to score over 90 points. So it does go against your Harris Andrews pick a little bit.
Okay.
But I think they both have what it takes to be a big scoring team. I don't think either team are going to be a bit gun shy. I think they both are going to step up. It's why I love this. I love this matchup so much. Neither of them look like they're going to have those ifs, like those really like yips types of kicks and maybe a couple here and there, but they're both grand final and final experienced teams. They're both very, very strong. So I think both of them will start scoring in big ways.
I think my first bold prediction is that the first half is going to end up very close in the end of the margin, but the first quarter, one team will dominate, and then the second quarter, the other team will dominate, and it's a very clear difference where it's like 5 goals to 1, and then it's 6 goals to 2.
Yep.
It's that much of a difference. I think that's
tale
what
of
it's gonna
two
be.
halves. Is that your bold prediction?
I don't know if it's a tale of 2 halves, but the first half, in a sense, yeah, the first half is split into 2 halves. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. So it's like first quarter,
Yeah,
one
so
side,
first
second
quarter, one
the-
side is great. Second quarter, the other side is great. but the margin ends up pretty close.
Is that for the first half?
Yeah, that's for the first half. I don't know what's happening in the second half.
I'll keep it a mystery.
My bold prediction is the first half is split, basically, between the two teams.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough. I am actually going to think on the opposite end of the spectrum. I'm trying to think of players who are usually really good, who I think may have a bit of a struggle. Because like I said, both teams step up. That. So I think a bold prediction could be someone doesn't live up to that mark. And for me, that person, unfortunately, is Levi Ashcroft. I think Levi can get himself a lot of disposals very often, but I think he's going to have under 15 in this game. I think with his, young game, he's in a position where his role isn't so necessary or reliant. They don't rely on Levi's play as much as they do other players. And so I think maybe it's just the habit of Levi not knowing where to go. Maybe it's just the fact that he is in the wrong spot at the wrong time. But I think Levi may have himself a bit of a tough one. Under 15 disposals, when he very easily can rack them up. I think under 15 is where we see Levi.
I don't mind it, but I think just first-year player, it's a bit hard to tell.
I mean, you just think back to Will Ashcroft. He won the Norm Smith.
Yeah, exactly.
So, it could go the other way. But at the same time, considering both sides look so ready for a grand final, I think it'd be interesting if there is a noticeable player who's off. And for me, it just makes sense if it's the youngest or one of the youngest guys out there. First big momentous occasion. He watched his brother play in the grand final as well from the stand. So now to be out on the other side, that's a cool story in itself. You just contrast Levi and Will celebrating last year to if they win it, celebrating this year. That'd be kind of cool.
I like that. I'm going to go for Josh Dunkley and Tom Atkins to combine
for 50 tackles. No, that is double. That is two players beating the AFL record.
I'm trying to think of a number. I feel like 25 is not bad, but it's a bit low for a bold prediction. 30 is a relatively high,
I think 25 is fine.
I'll go 25
because that's 13. If you're thinking the most even split, that's 13 and 12.
I'll go Josh Dunkley and Tom Atkins combined for 27 plus tackles.
Okay. That is, thinking that, I think that's very bold because all it takes is one not to do that and to have no pressure. But
that is
maybe the intensity of the grand final adds a few more tackles to that count.
Yep.